everybody. Welcome to Triggered Care. I am Alex. And today we're talking about setting up boundaries and, what's the difference between being selfish and having healthy boundaries. So, let us get into it. First thing we have to clarify is, what are boundaries? What are healthy boundaries? What do they look like? And for me, boundaries means putting yourself first when it comes to mental and physical health. Saying no when you're burnt out and need time for yourself. It's when you say, I care about you, but I put my health first, mentally and physically. Now, why is this so hard for us? Why is it hard to say no? And why is it hard to put up boundaries? Well, if you're like me, that is because putting up boundaries got you in trouble when you were a kid. There's a negative association with saying no. Either you were yelled at or beat or any number of cruel punishment for trying to say your needs, and so you learn to repress them and to feel like you don't need anything, right? But that's not true. You do need stuff. It's just that brainwashing that we go through that makes us believe that we don't deserve to have boundaries. But we very much do deserve to have boundaries. Everybody deserves to have boundaries. If somebody's asking you for a huge favor and you are exhausted, you had 8 triggers earlier in the week and you just need a day to relax, you need to be in a place where you can be like, no, I'm sorry. I'd like to help you, but I can't today. So, how the heck do you get there from where you are? How do you start saying no and being comfortable with it? One tip that I've heard from other survivors is practice saying no by yourself. Whenever you have free time, in the car, in the shower, if you're home alone for a bit, just practice saying no over and over and over again. And that will get in your brain a little bit, so then when you want to call on it later in a social engagement, you can say no. You got used to saying no. Another thing that helped me with my boundaries is learning the difference between selfishness and healthy boundaries, because there is a difference. You are not being selfish because you need time to yourself. You are not being selfish if you cannot physically do the favor that's being asked of you. You are not being selfish if you mentally cannot handle more work on top of what's going on in your life. Being selfish stems from never empathizing with others. You don't see or care to see how others are affected by your actions. Whereas having boundaries, you can empathize with others. But you know that you're too stressed out to function. You're too stressed out to really help with a clear head. And not even that you have to be too stressed out for that. If your mental state just isn't in a good place to be around other people, take that time for yourself. And there's no shame in needing time for yourself. I know the fear that first pops up when you first start saying no of, oh, I'm an butthole. I am not being a nice person. And that fear is very strong when you first start setting up boundaries. But I assure you, a butthole would not worry that much about putting up healthy boundaries. A butthole would put down boundaries on top of even more expectations for people to just give them things and give into their way without even thinking about it. If you are that worried about being mean, you are not a mean person. I promise. Another way of getting over that fear and that hold that old belief has on you is learning grounding exercises and practicing them daily. And what grounding exercises have done for me is I'm able to pull myself out of the old brainwashing foundation of thought into my new recovery foundation of thought, where I do matter, I am important, and it is okay for me to have boundaries. It's okay for me to say no. My number one grounding exercise would fall into the into the meditation category of listening to my breaths and putting all of my focus on just breathing in and out. In and out. And you have to do this for a little while and practicing this for 30 seconds to a minute every day. You'd be surprised at how quickly you can bring your brain back to that when you need it. So, meditation could help. Doing things that make you feel good about yourself, those will help too. You have to foster the self-love for yourself in order to have the strength to put up boundaries and to believe in your boundaries and be like, you know what? No, I can't help right now, or I don't want to do that thing, or whatever it is that your boundary is. You get to choose the people around you. And I absolutely promise, most of the people in my experience, when I first started putting up boundaries, were very open and either they didn't care, they're just indifferent to it, like, oh, okay, that's fine. Where I thought they were going to freak out. Or even to the more positive side of, it's really okay, I understand. You're going through a lot. If you need help, let me know. Very seldom do I get the negative response of someone getting angry at me. And I talked about this in the early days of recovery video, which I can link that to the description. So watch that if you want me to talk about more of the reactions to boundaries that people have. But for the most part, people are neutral to positive about putting up boundaries. Now, the people who I guarantee you are not going to be okay with your boundaries, are probably past abusers, maybe family members. And what I got to say to that is you need people in your life who will accept your boundaries and accept your self-love. And if the people in your life react negatively to you standing up for yourself and for you putting up boundaries, those are not the right people to have around you in recovery. You need understanding, you need enough space to grow and to love yourself. And it's very hard to do that if you're surrounded by negative triggers such as people getting angry at you for saying no and putting up healthy boundaries. So there's my video on boundaries. It's a little bit of a shorter one, but that's mostly because I kind of covered this in the other video too. But I saw some stuff in the chat, in the support chat, talking about boundaries, and I thought it was a really good idea for a video. So, if you have any stories you want me to share, send me a message. If you would like to join my Discord server, join the CPTSD Discord server. I have a Facebook page open now. So, if you'd like to get involved, share your stories. Yeah, I think that's about does it. I hope y'all have a good one.